Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome everybody to Voice Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka L. Bay, and this evening we will be dealing with the principles and guidelines of government structure for the boards. Our special guest is Abdullah Bey, Shem Malachi Bey, and King L. Bey. Matter of fact, it appears that my guest is already in the queue. I'm going to open up their lines. Area code 215 and area code 513. Are you with me, brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am, Tarhaka. We have 267, too. You see 267?
No, not yet. When they call in, then they press one on the phone. I'll open up.
He was already on. Hold on.
Okay. Well, he'll get back in. But you want to tell us about these principles and guidelines of government, Brother Bay? I really want to hear this here, man.
Okay.
So as he comes in, then I'll go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm calling him right now, Tarhaka.
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah, he's calling in now.
Principle.
So let's introduce ourselves, King. King Shem is calling in now.
Okay.
And so let's introduce ourselves. Start off, King, by introducing yourself to the audience.
Okay, my name is Brother King L. Bey. My name, you spell my name with the K-E-N-G, L. Bey. I'm the founder of the Moors Union of Sovereign Tribes, and I am the chair of the Moors Investigation Research Committee, and where Abdullah and Shem are the advisors. So we have came together and started to work on this to be able to bring forth proper instructions dealing with the principles and applications of law, operation of law, and the source of law, so that our people can really understand and root themselves in these principles, so that they can better move within the legal realm.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'm Abdullah Il Talib Moxley Bey. I've been on Tarhaka's this platform several times. First time I was on this platform was in 2015, and I had not in the last before the night it was by 2020. So I thank you, Tarhaka, for reaching out to me and giving us this platform. I am author of several books, namely Moors and Masonry Part 1 and Moors and Masonry Part 2. I've been teaching etymology, grammar, vocabulary building, dictionary study skills since 1990. I've actually been studying since 1990. I've been teaching actually since 1999. I taught at Temple University Pan-African Studies Community Education Program, etymology, there for 20 years, from 2003 to 2019, actually 16 years, from 2003 to 2019. So I'm co-founder, curriculum developer, and instructor of the Moroccan Post School of Government and International Law. We have free classes on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. To get my books, you go to moorsandmasonry.org. Is 267 on, Tarhaka? You see 267?
Yes, it is. All you got to do is press one on the phone. That'll give me an indication that it's in the queue.
I thought, all right.
267. All right, here you go. I'm going to open up the line. Hold on 1 second. Area code 267. Tell us who you are, where you calling from.
Shem Malachi Bey, Shaker Mexican, Ninahogi, Morocco.
Okay.
I'm a judge
right.
Sergeant General. I'm a judge and Sergeant General for the Isle Apostolic Republic, which is the ecclesiastical society of groups of people that came together to form what you call a public government to react with the diversity of Moors that's out there lost. Also, I represent as a jurist, working with Professor Abdullah Bey since 2019, creating curriculums, forms, applications, operation of law. I've been teaching this since 2019 through Facebook Live, through the Academy of Providence, also to House of Reawakening Minds. We also used to sit and talk with all the major heavy hitters, so-called major heavy hitters, within the Moorish community. And what we do is come bringing people together so they can know who they are and understand the proper application of law in structure form. By looking back at the ancient ancestors, ancient diagrams, ancient drawings, ancient procedures. Looking back at the Sokofa, looking at the example the other governments done to keep themselves in part, starving, and separated from among the boxes of the world. So we're here today to help our Moors, brothers and sisters out, so they can understand the proper application of law, how to apply it among themselves, how they get assembled together, how they gather together, how they increase their numbers, how they reach out to each other, and how they come together and assemble together as a people.
Okay. All right, well, brothers, I'm glad to have you all on the board. I want to know about this Mason thing. Of course, y'all know me, Tarhaka. I deal with law and stuff. I'm Minister of Education for the Moorish American government. I deal with contract law, and I deal with people all over the United States and other countries who have problems with law and understand the law and how to deal with our law system in the United States. But what I've been looking at here, and Brother Mosiah, I do have your book, Moors and Masonry, and I mean, you put out quite a few, but I do have that one right here on my desk. But could you start us out in giving us this about the principles and guidelines of government, the structure for the Moors? Could you break
All right, we're going to
down
have King L. Bates going to start. Yes, King L. Bates going to start us off. King?
Okay, so first we need to understand that these principles that I'm going to talk about is the underpinning for all legal systems. This what shapes and guides the legal system. This is the fundamental foundation in which the system is sits. So without understanding legal principles and getting into this, it will be hard for any Moor or any form of government to run. So it's very crucial for us as Moors to understand principles of law, because these principles, like I said, is the underpinning. So without understanding the application of law, the operation of law, the source of law, we would not be able to make this system work and thrive, because what the principles of law do is just give us ability to make rulings with more accurate decisions and protect our people based on understanding these principles. Even to write contracts based on these principles, so that we will not give up any of our birthrights. So when you understand these principles of law,
hold on a minute, brother. Hold on a minute. We got a lot of background noise. I'm trying to leave all three mics open so everybody, we all be in on one page, but we gotta cut out all the background noise. I have to mute the mic. Okay, go ahead, brother.
do you still hear the background noise?
Yeah, we can't roll with the background noise. We gotta cut that out. Whoever
No,
it is
I'm
that's
saying,
doing it.
I'm saying it might be me.
You're good
now.
now. You're good.
I'm good.
You're good,
okay. So what I'm saying to you, when we understand these principles, it'll make us our life easier when we're talking about the legal system. You will know what substantive law is. You will know what remedial law is. You will know what positive law is, negative law is, because it's rooted in the principles. You would know constitutional law. You would know all the different shapes of law because they're all rooted in the same principles. So you won't have to guesstimate anything. You wouldn't go to court and have to be guessing. Once you understand how to apply the proper application based on status, subject matter, and jurisdiction, you can now understand how to deal with the courts based on a proper application versus an improper application. Because a lot of Moors say, hey, I'm a Moor, I'm going to force the Constitution. Then they get in trouble, right, without understanding how to address the court based on what they're trying to identify. So now they don't understand they're commingling jurisdictions, that they're merging two jurisdictions, right, without understanding who has the superior claim, right? Who is the receiving, right, and the responding parties in relationship to treaty and application, and what duties do each other do they have based on understanding this application. So when you don't know and you go to court and you don't know how to look at the court and deal with the court based on the proper application, I don't care what it is, if it's a constitutional application, if it's a statutory application, if it's a treaty application, you must understand how to use the proper application dealing with the status. So things have to be very defined and specific. Law is very specific. And when you don't know how to do that, root yourself in these principles, then you have people that come up with processes. I'm going to come up with this process. Now you're going to use them. They're going to start using what they call constructive language and coin phrases and start saying things that you can't find in a law book. It's not rooted in legal principles. So when you go to court, you know somebody that gave you this process and you don't know how to properly operate. And then they gave you a bunch of coin phrases or things that the court don't even understand what you're addressing. So now you just running around with this paperwork talking about you got a process that works, and it's not rooted in any legal principle. It don't have no legal basis, meaning that you don't have any legal standing, so you don't even have a claim of right. And that's what we have to get the people to understand dealing with these legal principles. The legal principles is rooted in everything in the legal system. It's rooted in every aspect of the legal system. So we have to get away from certain things. And we have to now understand, once we get these legal principles, now you can be able to say, oh, you will start having aha moments. You will start saying, oh, now I get it. I know what I'm doing now. Versus this, oh, I made this educated guess in this legal stuff and it didn't work, because that ain't how law works. It's not about educating. It's not about an educated guess. It's either you know the law or you don't. You know these principles or you don't. And then if the court don't get it right, you can say, hold up, y'all didn't get it right, because here's the application, here's the principles associated with the application of law, here is the remedy that the instructions in accordance to the treaty say it should happen. Y'all didn't operate in accordance of the treaty under the proper application and operation of law, dealing with the source. What's the source? It's the treaty. If you're going to talk this, you must understand how to present it, where it's really legally constructed, it's properly, it's constructed very precise. When you understand this, now you can really explain this to the people because you utilize proper legal structure and application.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, brother.
Yes.
First of all, hold on a minute, Khalid. Could you tell us what treaty are you referring to?
I'm just saying any treaty. If any more want to use a treaty, you can. If let's say it's a treaty, let's take one, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, right? Let's just take a treaty, because Moors have multiple treaties and conventions and other applications that they can use. But I'm just going to use the Peace and Friendship Treaty associated with a claim, right?
Okay.
You must identify what the treaty based on what? Based on as the application of treaty rights, right? And you must understand, okay, who can hear this? The venue has been established according to the treaty. According to the treaty. So some of us go to court. There should have automatically been a change of venue associated with the treaty if you're talking about more status dealing with the operation of law, because state and federal courts cannot hear extraterritorial applications. And you got to put the court on notice. Hey, I'm putting the court on notice based on what? Extraterritorial application. As it relates to treaty, right, in read of treaty rights, dealing with the Peace and Friendship Treaty, the 1856 Peace and Friendship Treaty, in accordance to what provision that you're going to use. You put the court on notice. You got to understand that. This operation of law, that's the first thing you must do, is put people on notice. And then you must understand what to do next. But if you don't understand how the principle of law works, these principles to help you understand what you need to know, because once you understand how to do that and get into the courtroom, and as we start understanding these things, it'll allow us to have what? Fruition, and to see in the future for what we need to build government structure. You cannot build government without understanding these principles. And once you get these principles down pat, right, we get them, absorb them, and they're part of our DNA and understanding. Now we can start building a proper government that will protect us based on principles, based on the form of government that we select, based on the principles that that government is going to embed itself in. And these principles now going to spill over into whatever system of government that we choose.
Okay, well,
I wanted to qualify Tarhaka legal system.
Oh, come on.
He said because the master, the audience does not know legal system. He used the term legal system. They're thinking court system. All right. When he said legal system, the people who are listening, that's those who've been on our instruction, are thinking court system. It's not court system. Okay. So when he says legal system, when King said legal system, it's not court system. Let me explain. There's 5 major legal systems in the world. common law system. You have civil law system, religious law system, customary, and you have mixed system. It's not court system, not a court system. We're talking about the system of how a country, how France, England, South Africa, Germany, the legal system of how they operate as a whole, the judicial, how they, the legal system that guides their legislation, that guides their courts, that guides their execution of law, not court system. So he doesn't mean court system. All right, so I just wanted to provide that clarity.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all hold on a minute, and I'm going to a quick commercial break. And when I get back in, I need to hear from Brother Shem. Okay?
Yes.
All right, hold on a
Once
minute.
again, don't wait until it's too late. Hi, I'm Tarhaka. Get out of debt now. Use what you already have at your disposal. Try living in the private for the first time in your life. Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. What are you going to do when the economy collapses? What are you going to do when life in the public becomes so unbearable you don't think you can survive? There is something you can do now. Gain the benefit now of using the private banking and credit available to you. Avoid the loss of your hard-earned cash, which are debt notes. Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Request my free report by filling out the Contact Us form, and I will rush the report to your email box. Act now. We still have a small amount of time. TarhakaDebtElimination.org.
Okay, let me hear from Brother Malachi. Malachi, you with us?
Shem? Brother Shem?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right, you up.
I'm here.
Give me
You
what
up,
you think about this here business.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Now, the system that we're dealing now is a pirate system. What you mean, Shem?
Okay.
The system is set for banking. The Europeans want to fund their debt off all their corporate debts they owe to these crowns. So therefore, they took the Moors and reclassified the Moors as property by giving the Moors the name of Negro, Black, Afro-American, Color, Latino. These are called brand serial numbers. No different than the plantation where the man take a number and take a brand you to identify what plantation you belong to. Now, by calling you a Negro, a Spanish subject, Black, France dealt with that. Indian, Moors we call Indian, Great Britain. What they did was they brand us to make us part of their subject. Therefore, we can't enforce the Moors Treaty as the proper application of law. Why? Because you're not taught or trained or educated with a Moor is. Or that's your inheritance. That's your consequences. Once this happens, you become a subject on your own land, a surety. Now they can take you now and use your energy to make money off you. And what happens, all the courts are operating off of what? Equity. That's it. Off a maritime contract, equity. Off of you being born in their political jurisdiction, and your mother put you down with a European name, which gives you the property of these family clan names, and then you go on a registration form, which is a commercial instrument, goes to commerce, and you get put down as United States property. This is why the 14th Amendment say United States spend their jurisdiction in the states, because the black, the Negro was a property of the United States. The United States became a fiduciary from France, Spain, and Great Britain. So therefore, the property of the conquest states is now in the control of the United States now. Now Afro-American. The United States created a brand to brand you now so they have jurisdiction over your body. All of those are brand you. They need jurisdiction, the proper application of law. They got to brand you first. Once they identify you as being a Negro or colored or Afro-American, these are brands. Give the United States political jurisdiction over the trademark, which is the name. Let's understand that. So you can't go to the English or European court or county court or state court talking about you or more, because the judge cannot hear that case of a Moor because of status. Once you say you're more, it's a private judge application of the law, because he cannot be a judicial officer under extraterritorial treaty. He can't do it. The treaty is the legislative act by both governments who hear all disputes. And a judge, a domestic judge of the nation, cannot hear that. That's why the judge will ignore you and say you lack subject matter. He will deny you because the application brought before him does not allow him to hear the case. If he hear the case, he's going to deny you anyway because he can't make adjudication that can stand because he's not a counsel. So we have to understand. I'm going to give you an example. If you go to the Social Security Administration to fill out application, right, to apply for the Social Security benefits, the first thing you ask for, can I get a Social Security application? You don't go to a police district and do that. You don't go to a welfare office to do that. You don't go to a county court to do that. You go to the Social Security Administration with a proper application of laws applied there with them benefits. So if you're seeking to get a benefit from a treaty, you have to get it from a council because it's a territorial treaty. And the government, the domestic government has no authority over that. When extraterritorial is created, they create what you call a special amnesty jurisdiction. It's called amnesty jurisdiction to enforce the maritime contract. Why is the maritime contract treated the maritime contract? Because between two nations that's doing business on the high seas. And now, when that happens now, the proper application got to be brought before a council. Because that's what it stipulates in the document. So you can't go on Social Security Administration and say, I want to get a complaint against a police officer. It's not going to work. That's not the proper application to go to them and to the Social Security Administration to do that. You have to go to the what? Attorney General office or District Attorney office. So what we got to realize is this here. The status is everything before the law first, number one, status. The reason why you go to the courts is because you don't understand. You are more about consequences. You have to have a government to establish a political status under that consequences. So you have to have a political status that's established under your consequences, which gives the government the right to become your protector. Therefore, now the government can protect you by enforcement treaty. That's a proper application. What you mean, Sim? Here's a matter of a man, because I'm going to go through what most Moors got problems at. Their children not going to school. Abdullah said not going to school and send the cops out. Or we go to the hospital and accept your IDs. Or if you're driving a car, you're transferring commerce with a car, or you're going to vending or selling your goods. You say you have a license. This is why I say the application of law is very important. How the government system take over everything. Now, here's a Moor buying a car. I'm a Moor. I can drive. This is my land. Okay. Now let's go to a document, a maritime document, because a car is a vessel moving on land, and land is floating on dry dock, on water. That's a vessel. The country of land is a vessel, like a ship. You're not going on a ship and talking about getting a ship and go out to sea and tell the captain you got to do what he said. Captain, yes, you will do what I say on the ship until you get your foot back on the ground. You get back on the ground and land, then the laws of that land apply to you. When you're in the ship, I can put you in a brig. I can lock you up, everything in the ship. Because I am what? I'm the admiral of the ship. So I control the ship as the president of the United States, elected by the people. Well, I've been appointed and delegated authority by what? By the executive office to what? Do this job I got right here. It makes me therefore in command of this ship, this vessel. So on land, every land vessel, a country, is floating on the water. So therefore, the people vote their what? The leaders in a president, a prime minister, a governor, whatever it may be. No different. Application of law. If we go buy a car, I'm gonna give an example. The car dealership say, hey, listen, what's your name? Okay, where's the designated? Where's this car? Where do you live at? You tell us where you live at. Now, the car dealership must transfer that title out of the state of origin unto the Moorish government, the Viceroy government, the Moroccan government. Once that paperwork is shipped out, you're supposed to have a proper credential to give to him to identify yourself as a foreign national in that territory. And the reason why this is not set right because we have no government status. Morocco has been dismantled. Therefore, it's incumbent by the people to come together and form the Moroccan states and come back together and have one national convention and come together for one national government to exercise the jurisdiction as the Sultan had, as a constitutional monarchy, where the people rule through their representatives. What do you mean rule through representatives? Where we elect our representatives and by delegation authority, they're obligated to an oath or covenant to form a duty of the letter of the law. That's a proper application. Once this is done, the government has to send off a notice to all the other governments, nations of foreign affairs, who they are, and they're invoking all the treaty rights. There has to be a notice of Vobel sent to them, invoking the treaty rights of the government, of the national government. All the nations that signed the treaties and conventions must send that notice. That's called diplomatic relationship. It's reestablishing diplomatic relationship that Morocco had for all the nations signed treaties. Once this is signed, the proper application, once again, and also operational procedure of law. Once that is done, all the states get the same notice. All states don't tell you. They got Minister of Foreign Affairs office there too. All states. They won't tell you that. You get research, you'll find out. What happens is now your government has to form documents. So now your government got to straighten out all the errors that put you into servitude. Now let me explain something to you. See, when you become a Moor again and have established government, you become a creditor again. Hear me out. Yes, you become a creditor again. And no more is the debtor. A Moor is a creditor. The Albions and the state citizens are debtors to what? To Morocco. This is why we'll establish our own governments, our own bureaus, ministries. So that way when we do business with the other governments, the first thing we do, we go to the parent, the head of the government, and we notify them who we are, and we start doing applications with them, the proper applications to diplomatic channels. So they would put you in their system. All these systems will trickle down to all local governments and state governments, all states and local governments. Will identify who you are through that what? System. This is called diplomatic application of law. The application is your government setting up the proper procedures to enroll you on your status, give you a political assistance on your consequences. Then the government have a relationship with their government to notify them so you won't have any problems when you travel to their political jurisdiction. Now somebody said, well, that's what you got to do because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship say a sign should be given and documents should be, and papers should be carried. So why is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship actually saying that it must be papers? Every Moor is responsible for having his identity, card, passports, papers, everything himself from his government. Why? Because the treaty says so. That is the application of law. Once this is done, and you have a problem with a state actor, a cop, a police officer, or an agency of law enforcement, when a conflict arose, the first thing happens is that the Moor has to give notice to the cop and say, can you call the council Can you call a foreign consul up, please? Because this is a diplomatic matter, and you stop me, and you try to accept jurisdiction over me. I'm not asking any questions. I'm asking you to call a counsel. Now, Shem, why you say this? I'm going to show you something. A sister in Virginia one day called me one day, right, as a deputy. And never forget this. My phone rung. She say, Shem, I'm starting to hear all these cops back here got me trapped. Let me out. I want to hear this. She said, I told him that I want him to talk to my deputy, which is the place as my counsel, for me on. I have to get a phone. This is what I told the captain. I said, excuse me, who are you? Identify yourself. He gave his number, everything. I said, do you have a who's your underwriter of your insurance policy? I said, are you insured? Do you have any indemnity? I said, I didn't know where's your commercial liability lies at with insurance policy. He said, I don't have none. I said, who's underwriting you? Who's protecting you? Are you granting immunity? What you're doing right now? He said, I don't understand. I said, let me explain to you, sir. This is a national or a foreign government. You stop. She gave you identity, right? I said, are you personally damaged by that? He said, I don't understand. I said, sir, are you personally damaged? Are there any physical damage to your reputation or to your family or to you or anybody else? He said, no. I said, okay, what claim do you have against us? I said, because, sir, you stopped, your police district stopped her. So you are probably contracted with her. You said you're going to take her car. I said, sir, you can't take her car, sir. I'm going to tell you why you can't take it. Because it have not went to your court system first. Your court has established jurisdiction first over the vehicle. He said, well, I got lots of stuff, sir. Any laws you got that's written that you can take somebody's property by due process of law, the application of law that she has a right to protect her property. I said, if you consider us being a citizen of the state, and she have a constitution right in your constitution, you have a property go for the judge before we take it. That's due process. I said, you going to be liable? I said, sir, I'm going to tell you something, sir. Let me say this. She's a nasty. I'm telling you right now. I'm recording this too, by the way. So when I take it for both the council's jurisdiction, I'm going to privately call you and as a witness, a letter rogatory, and you're going to come in, sir. You're going to have to pay out of your pension or your insurance policy, whatever you have, for the damage you can. I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a right. Leave the car alone. Let her park the car if you disagree with her. She have it towed to her house. You cannot take a vehicle. It's personal property. He said, Mr. Bay, I'm going to do exactly like you say. She called me back. She said, all of them left. And nobody told me, call a tow company, have a tow in front of your house. I can't touch your pot. I don't know who this guy is. She said, well, he just told you. See, I'm talking about the application, operation of law, communication. If you don't understand what this means, you shouldn't be out there trying to be out there contracting, telling you more and you got no government protection. Not going to work. And then you go to their courtroom trying to enforce a foreign law in their courtroom, which they don't have delegation authority to enforce. I'm going to file an affidavit telling them my status. They're just going to leave me alone. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because you property of the United States. When they out there, they're assuming. These people are under assumption. They are doing what you call a HESA contract. They're a premeditated contract in their mind that you are a citizen of the United States, period, until you show otherwise. You must understand this. And when you go into the court, the moment you start filing stuff in the court, asking the court to do something, you waive your moral status. The council. You become a United States citizen now, a ward of state, because you ask the court to do stuff for you. Please, listeners, hear me. When you go to a court, ask the court to do something for you. You are giving a judge delegation authority to hear that matter. So if he can rule on it, he got jurisdiction over you. I'm speaking from experience.
Well, let me,
I had three cases. Huh?
Hold on a minute. Brother Abdullah.
Yes.
You with me? Okay, can you come in and verify some of this?
I'm going to read. Well, let me. Yes. So let me give you a couple cases then.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to first. There are cases. So we're looking at treaty cases.
Okay.
There are treaty cases that the United States courts can hear. There's some treaty cases that the United States courts can hear, but not cases that deal with extraterritoriality. Article 3, Section 2, and there's several clauses in Section 2 of the United States Constitution that gives the court jurisdiction here, treaty cases, but not treaty cases dealing with extraterritoriality. Article 2, Section 2 of the United States Constitution is not granted extraterritoriality jurisdiction. All right, so that's now what type of treaty cases can the United States courts hear? Cases that do not have extraterritoriality cases, like Society versus New Haven, 1823, Ware versus Hilton, 1796. Ware versus Hilton and Society versus New Haven is based off the 1783 definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and the United States. That treaty does not have an extraterritoriality clause. You have Howenstein versus Lynham. Howenstein versus Lynham, 1879. That case is based off the 1850 treaty between the Swiss Confederation and the United States. That treaty does not have an extraterritoriality clause. All right, so there are treaty cases, but not treaty cases that deal with extraterritoriality. All right, thank you for asking me this. All right, we did last week. Shem, Vanderlei, myself, and King did a presentation on addressing Moorish misconceptions. One of the Moorish misconceptions is that Article 3, Section 2 of the United States Constitution creates Moorish consular courts. That's a Moorish misconception. No treaty, no constitution in the world has an has authority, a consular court. Let me explain. All right, Tarhaka.
Okay.
I cannot draft, Tarhaka, I cannot draft in my Constitution, Tarhaka. I cannot draft into my Constitution that when my daughter at Tarhaka's house, I'm drafting my Constitution. My daughter at Tarhaka's house is governed by my laws and not by Tarhaka's laws. I have authority. I have authority to draft in my Constitution.
Go ahead.
Down with you, Tarhaka, and you have to what? Extend that jurisdiction to me. You have to allow me, make that allowance through a treaty that is called an extraterritoriality or compensatory clause. That when my daughter is at your house, she'll be governed by my laws while she's in your house, and while your children are in my house, they'll be governed by laws. That's done through treaties. So consular court is established by treaty. One of the Moorish misconceptions is taught by conscious Moors. No Europeans teach this. No one in the world. Only conscious Moors. There are a few conscious Moors that teach this misconception. That Article 3, Section 2 establishes Moorish consular courts. When the consular courts are established by treaties. That's a great, my brothers and sisters, we got the Moorish misconceptions.
Okay. Now, what happens when we have, because see, as a whole here this evening, we have brothers and sisters all over the United States and other parts of the world who say, well, look, can I do what you were talking about, Brother Tarhaka, without being a Moor? Do I have to be a Moor in order for me to do, get myself free and do what I want to do as far as the law in this court is concerned? How do y'all answer that?
Well, let me address this before let's address this. Let's address all over the United States. Let's address that. It's important for us to address that. Let's address all over the United States. All right. Let me explain. All right. When you say all over the United States, how did that come about? How did the phrase all over the United States come about? Let me explain. All right. Due to conquest, due to Spanish, French, Dutch, and English, British conquest and colonization of our land. The Dutch set up colonies on the Atlantic seacoast. And then the British defeated the Dutch, and they took over from the Dutch in 1664. And so the English set up colonies. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, all right, set of colonies. You have proprietary colonies, you have company colonies, and you have royal colonies, 3 types of colonies. In 1763, the 1763 Treaty of Paris, Article 1 of the 1783 Definitive Peace Treaty between Great Britain and the United States, His Britannic Majesty King George III relinquished to each of the 13 states. Therefore, North Carolina State is assuming rights under North Carolina Colony Charter. South Carolina State is assuming rights under North Carolina Colony Charter. All right? Article 2 of that same treaty of 1783 between Great Britain and the United States, where Great Britain, France in the 1763, back up a little bit, 1763 peace treaty between France and Great Britain. France ceded the Northwest Territory to Great Britain, part of Minnesota, part of Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. All right, so we ceded. That's in that language. Article 2 of the 1783 Definitive Peace Treaty. Then you have 1803. 1803. All right, so in the late 1500s, due to French conquest and colonization, the French extended French territorial sovereignty on our land and set up the Louisiana Territory, named after King Louis XIV. All right? In 1762, through the Treaty of Fontainebleau, Great Britain made a deal with Spain to have France cede the Louisiana Territory to Spain in 1762 through the Treaty of Fontainebleau. All right? Then so Spain retroceded it to Spain, to France. France sold it to the United States in the 1803 Treaty of Paris, 1803 Louisiana Purchase Treaty. So then you have the Guadeloupe, the 1818 Treaty between Florida, between Spain and the United States, where when Spain takes over, where the United States takes over Florida. Then you have the 1857 Guadeloupe Treaty between the United States of Mexico and the United States, where now United States of Mexico cedes, the port that was now known as California, Utah, Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, all right? So this is important when you say all over the United States. So that's what you mean when you see the map. The United States map, how did that come about? So I'm explaining, it's important that I do this. It's important that I explain how did it come about. How did it come about when people say all over the United States? Because it didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. All right? So all over the United States, that's what that means. I just broke down a statement all over the United States. This is very important so that we're not loose. That way, when a statement is made, you can put some tie to it. And what does that mean? So you have these occupying sovereigns that ceded and relinquished. So United States become, by virtue of the treaties, United States becomes the trustee of the Spanish land grant, French land grant. Those are personal rights. The French citizens, the French subjects in the Louisiana Territory didn't go back to France. Article 3 of the 1803 Louisiana Purchase Treaty is the citizenship clause. those French soldiers became citizens of the United States. And Article 3 of the Guadalupe Treaty between the United States of Mexico and the United States. The United States, the Mexicans had 1 year to, Mexican nationals had 1 year to notify the Mexican government to whether to be made a Mexican national or become a citizen of the United States. So if they decided to become a citizen of the United States, they'll be protected under the United States Constitution by virtue of that treaty. So, but remember, the United States of Mexico was obligated to oversee the Spanish land grant claims. But when through that treaty, that trusteeship administration responsibility now is in the hands of the United States. United States Congress set up Spanish land grant offices commission to oversee Spanish land grants. It's under, those are personal rights. It's through conquest and colonization. So I want the audience to know when Tarhaka or anyone says all over the United States, where did that statement come from? What is it rooted in? What is the all over the United States statement rooted in? We got to talk like this. We got to be able to spit like this, y'all. We have to spit like this.
Abdul, can you bring in the talk about the case where the United Kingdom went to The Hague and said that their personal rights were violated when they transferred the land concession treaties with Spain and France?
That was that you talked. Yes, there was the Dutch, the island of Palma. The Dutch had made a claim over the island prior, and then so it was United States, was it? I think Spain had ceded to United States, and so the issue, it went to the arbitration, International Court of Arbitration, and so what the ruling was that Spain did not have authority to cede that to the United States because it was actually that the Dutch had the jurisdiction. They talking about the Palmer's case. We'll make sure I'll post that. I'm gonna post that. If I don't find it tonight, I'll post it tomorrow on my Facebook page, Abdullah Bey Facebook page. All right. And I'll make sure I'll send it to you, Tarhaka.
Yeah, that case talking about,
and we'll get some discussion of the case. Yes.
Rights, right? Right, Abdul, they said their personal rights were
personal
violated,
rights,
right?
Yes, personal rights were violated.
Okay, so now
this is how they operating. Mm-hmm.
Now, on average, how important is it for the average brother and sister across the United States to proclaim their nationality? Well, how important that is?
All right. So if you look at the issue of nationality, what is nationality? What is the political definition of nationality? Nationality, in the political definition of nationality, you have two elements: allegiance and protection. So when you're looking at the political, everyone look up the definition of nationality, and you'll see where the person gives their allegiance, and their obligation is on that government to protect. So it's allegiance and protection. So without a nationality, or without it being declared, then there's no protection. So those are two major elements of nationality. That's the political aspect. Protection. So the protection is removed. Let's look at the Grenada Treaty, the Treaty of Grenada. The Treaty of Grenada, 1490, November 25th, 1491. That's when Abu Muhammad surrendered Grenada to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, ending Moorish rule in Europe. But in that treaty, meaning surrendering the Moorish sovereignty, all right, territorial sovereignty, to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand did not surrender, does not remove the Moors' personal rights. In the Treaty of Granada, the Moors' personal rights are protected. There's also an extraterritoriality clause in that treaty where Moors will be governed under Moorish law. That's extraterritoriality. So what happened? All right, let me explain. This is key, y'all. That's why I had to go there. What did King Isabella and Queen Ferdinand do? All right, or their grandson, the second. Their grandson, Philip II, launched, put the Moors, subjugated the Moors, and classified the Moors as Spanish. But the Treaty of Granada doesn't say Spanish. It says Moors. It reads Moor, not Spanish. So what was he doing? Denationalizing the Moors, removing the Moors' personal rights. I got to explain it this way so they can understand the value of nationality and the motive of why the Europeans denationalized us, to remove the protection and personal rights that the Moorish treaties afford. Shem. He's no longer. He's off. He's off. His prayer.
All right, come on, Shem.
I'm here.
He back here.
I'm here. Abdullah.
Shem. Great.
Hey, one other thing is very good too, Abdullah. Don't forget that Abdullah, that under the 1856 treaty between Morocco and Great Britain, the Crown made it clear that in her political dominion territory, that the Moors have sovereignty over all their political affairs and civil and criminal affairs. So in the United States, because the United States is operating a colony jurisdiction, it gives the Moors exclusive jurisdiction over all their political affairs, civil and criminal. So why would you go to the United States court when the Moors, the treaty, you forced the treaty? The treaty said that the Moors got exclusive jurisdiction over all civil and criminal affairs. So they're operating colony charter territory. So they're in the British territory charter. That's why the treaty says any state by treaty or conquest that gets the United States. So we in the United States signed a treaty with Great Britain to go into the colony territory that was chartered out already by the Crown. Therefore, Morocco has exclusive jurisdiction over all criminal and civil matters. So if you were Moor, right, and you got a controversy with the United States in that jurisdiction, the council got to step up on the Mufti and transfer the case and give a Moor government political jurisdiction. And they got the jurisdiction based on the treaty. That's the only law of the land treaty. There's no other law. And that's the extraterritorial treaty. There's no other law. The state government, the United States Constitution, the United States legislative bills, statutes does not apply here. The only thing that applies is the treaty. Who have jurisdiction? The Moors. That's it. That's the only thing that applies.
Okay.
So the general treaty between Morocco and Great Britain, 1856. There are. All right. We'll hold it down.
All right.
Peace.
Come on, King. King, you in here? Okay.
Yeah,
somebody
I'm
call
here.
his block. Okay.
Now he's here.
I'm
Go
here.
ahead, King.
Come on, man.
So this is what we need to understand about application of law. You go into the Social Security Administration and you give them, you say, I request for a Social Security application. You just granted them subject matter jurisdiction to rule on that because that's a particular application performed by that what? Administrative office. So you go apply for a driver's license. That is an application of law in which you apply for. We get mad when they say, okay, you apply for these things. We granted them jurisdiction. When we don't understand who we are and we don't understand these principles, guess what happens? You start applying for things that you shouldn't be applying for.
All right. Well, how we going? And I truly understand that. Definitely. So we're talking about if you in it, getting out of it. So we got to start canceling these contracts. Well, how you think we ought to go about doing that, King?
So when we're talking about proper application of law, we're talking about extraterritorial jurisdiction. This is the proper application. So under international law and under domestic law, they have what they call errors, omissions, defects, and mistakes. Based on the application that you put in, you've got to go back and tell them. You have to withdraw the application based on the what? Errors, omissions, and defects and mistakes that you committed. You made a mistake. You got to put them on notice. Hold up. Driver's license bureau. I made a mistake. I came under the wrong application. So my status, I can't apply for such application.
Okay. Well, what
Please
about...
take notice. Right? You got to tell them, please take notice and put this in your records.
What about people who are already attached to these contracts? They are refusing to acknowledge the nationality and that kind of stuff. What about these people? What procedures did they take to get up out of this kind of stuff, man?
Let me address this, King. Let me address this.
Okay.
All right. The difficulty would be if you do it as individuals, Tarhaka. So let's talk the importance of Moore's government structure. The difficulty if you tell these Moors to do it as individuals. Let's address that. We're not saying do it as individuals. So let's put this in the proper context. We're not saying doing it as individuals, y'all. Hear me out, y'all. There's no success in that. We understand the value of government structure. What we address in government structure, subjugation, not individual. Not you go down to Tarhaka by yourself and King or whoever individually. No. As and through government, we address it in government through government structure. We address it through diplomatic channels, not as individuals. All right, let me explain the principle. If you have a Chinese, I've done this several times. A Chinese takes the plane to France. The Chinese is like the Linus blanket. The Chinese Constitution is the Linus blanket. So that Chinese is covered, is protected. That's now the Chinese national. The Chinese national in France is beaten down by 3 French cops. The principle is those French cops are beating down all of China. The Chinese are not going to address it as that in one individual. That's an encroachment on Chinese sovereignty. They're beating down all of China. We got to understand that principle. It's not there yet. We'll get there. Conscious Moors aren't there yet. Of course, unconscious Moors aren't there yet. We're not there yet. We don't understand that principle because all right. Why do you say that? Because if we understood that, it would be it'll be great emphasis in study and government structure. It's the individual process. They don't understand the principle. That's called national principle. It's meaning that when you're looking at the treaty protects a class. All right, Tarhaka, Bay, name. All right, more national identity. Tarhaka Bay, identity. More national identity. Tarhaka Bay, identity. More national identity. National identity. Because what? More does not identify just one individual. More identifies what? A class of people going back generations. Not only a class of people living today. Because the 1580 treaty, the 1580 commercial treaty between England and Morocco wasn't signed and drafted by people living today. The 1602 treaty, the 1650 treaty, 1670 treaty. So more is a body of people, not just living today. So you're connected to that ancestry, that lineage. But the way these conscious Moors are presenting more as if it's what? An individual. They don't understand that it's a national identity, and if I say, and then they really don't know what that means by it being a national identity. So that principle, my point is, they don't understand nationality. They don't understand the principle, the political application of nationality. Yes, they know they're Moors. Yes, they know they're Moors. The conscious Moors. They know they're Moors. They don't understand the political application of nationality.
Okay. All right. Now, one of my brothers' calls has dropped off. I'm waiting on him to get back in. But what I want to do is I want to give you guys a break of stuff because I got some very, very important questions to ask you, and then we're going to deal with these with the Masons and the Masonic information. But I want to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back, okay? So I'm going to meet y'all back. Y'all hold on a minute.
Yes.
There's a Muslim social media figure being accused of anti-Semitism in the U.S. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's not someone that I actually follow or someone who interests me particularly, to be honest. But obviously this is farcical. I mean, if a Muslim in the West is genuinely anti-Semitic, it just means that Muslim has successfully assimilated to Western culture. I mean, the West invented it. The West invented anti-Semitism. I mean, previous instances in history of anti-Jewish persecution were actually persecution by polytheists against monotheists. The fact that those monotheists were Jewish was just incidental. It wasn't based on them being Jewish. It was based on them being monotheist. But it was the West who invented specifically anti-Jewish hatred and anti-Jewish Jewish persecution. That's a distinctly European pathology. I mean, it has nothing to do with Muslims. It has nothing to do with Arabs or anyone else. That's a Western thing. So if a Muslim in America or a Muslim in Europe is actually genuinely anti-Jewish, you know, if he believes in, say, those conspiracy theories about the Jews or harbors, you know, irrational hatred or what have you for the Jewish people, well, then that is a Muslim who has been successfully and thoroughly westernized, which I thought is what you all wanted. I thought you wanted Muslims to assimilate, right? I mean, these views are hard-drived into Western white supremacist ideology. You know, the obsession with the Rothschilds and so on. You know, the idea that Jews run the world and all of these types of things. All of these ideas are basic Nazi propaganda, but the Nazis used these tropes because they already existed in the society and they were already believed by the population. They didn't invent the idea. That's something that's been in Europe for a long time. These aren't Muslim views by any stretch of the imagination. They're not Islamic views. They're your views. So all you're doing, when you accuse someone of anti-Semitism, all you're doing is accusing that person of being a Westerner, of thinking like a Westerner, of having aligned himself with the fundamental biases of the West, particularly the Christian fundamentalist right wing, though it's not exclusive to them by any means. I mean, didn't Joe Biden say that if there wasn't an Israel, then that the U.S. would have to make one? If there wasn't an Israel, America would have to make one. Why? Because you don't want Jewish people in your country. You want them elsewhere. Being born and raised in the United States or in the UK or in France or in Germany or wherever else, being a citizen of those countries, a citizen of the country you were born in, somehow that doesn't make those countries their homeland. Why? Because you just don't accept them. Simple. That's anti-Semitism. That's anti-Jewish. I mean, okay, you have laws against anti-Semitism, which inaccurately is used to mean anti-Jewish, even though most Jews today aren't actually Semites, but whatever. You have laws in your countries against specifically anti-Jewish hate because you know what you're like and you know what you do. You don't make laws prohibiting things that people don't do. You make laws prohibiting things that people do. So you know perfectly well that you people are prone to anti-Jewish hatred and persecution. You know that's a habit of yours. It's one of the characteristics of your society. And of course, as I said, it is undeniably the logic behind non-Jewish support for Zionism. Non-Jewish support for Zionism is nothing but a declaration by non-Jews that Jews do not belong in their countries and that Jews will not be safe in their countries. That's what non-Jewish support for Zionism means. That's what you're saying. It's saying that citizenship for Jews in the West is invalid. I'm not sure how much more anti-Jewish you can possibly be. And it's so conspicuous, It's so conspicuous, this pretense of sensitivity, this very selective outrage, specifically about anti-Jewish sentiment. While you have politicians in Washington who just the other day were openly calling for dropping nuclear bombs on Gaza, while the U.S. keeps reloading Israel's American weapons to continue the genocide against the Palestinian people. And you want me to believe that you're offended by prejudice? Prejudice and hateful violence are definitive Western traits. It's what defines your whole so-called civilization. I mean, honestly, why do you think that no one knows your history? You really act like you think no one knows your history. Why do you think that your victims don't know their own history with you? I mean, let's be honest. It's not actually just Gaza. It's not just Gaza. You've been carrying out a genocide against Muslims for decades. And we're just your latest victims. If you begin at the first Gulf War in the early 90s, 1991, 1992, until today, until now, so roughly about 30-year period, 30 to 35 years or so, you killed, by most estimates, around 5 to 6 million Muslims around the world, directly and indirectly, whether it's by bombs or by sanctions or by imposed famine, by illness and so on. You killed 5 to 6 million Muslims. Okay, that's genocide. That's a 30 to 40-year-long Holocaust. We don't have the final tally on all of the deaths because you're still doing it. The American Holocaust against Muslims is ongoing. Like I said, you use direct and indirect means. You use proxies like Israel, for example. You use drones. You use economic blockades and so on. You inflict deprivation leading to death in Muslim country after Muslim country. Do you think we didn't notice? I mean, everyone agrees that you committed a genocide against the Native Americans, right? Okay. You did it to them the same way that you're doing it to us, directly and indirectly, by means of violence, by means of illness, viruses, and so on, by means of deprivation, by means of famine, displacement to the point of death. Same as now, over the course of decades, same as now. Do you think we don't?
Okay, we're back. Now, I'm opening up brother's line again. Okay, Brothers, we just heard from Bolton involving nationalism, the United States, government structure, and stuff in regards to the so-called Jews. Now, in your opinion, how do we fare involving this kind of thing, the government structure, and where
let me
does the Masons come in?
Let me clarify monotheism, and it was the other one, monotheism, and it's monotheism and plural. So you're dealing with many and multi-theism. So the concept of monotheism, and when you're looking at how did monotheism come about? If you look at the Haudenosaunee Constitution, they call the Iroquois Constitution, there is a prayer there. And in the prayer, we give honors to the fowls and the sun and the moon and the stars and the clouds and the birds. So it was not just, one entity. So when you're looking at this concept of monotheism is a modern concept that actually is suppressing an ancient principle of dealing with the concept of the all. So when you're looking at, the focus is on one, Jesus. Well, Jesus is the actual Son. Allah. That's the phases of, you have Monet, Auza, and Allah. The triple goddess, dealing with the triple, the phases of moon. But they're focusing with just the moon. But this, if you look at this, once again, the Iroquois Constitution, it's not just the moon or the sun, it's all of it. So I just wanted to, and I listened to, I listened to that, and I heard that, it's monotheism. And I was like, well, how did that come about? So when you, like I said, because you have this constitution here with this, that's actual prayer. So let's look. You thought about the Masons.
All right.
My brothers, you have Masons who are Europeans, the Masons who are of English, Irish, French, Hungarian, Scottish, Polish, Dutch descent. You have Masons who are of Moorish descent, classified as Negro, colored, black, African American, Indian, Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican, Hispanic. All right? They don't know that they're Moors, though. So you have Moors, our brothers and sisters, our brothers, who don't know that they're Moors, don't know that they're wearing the Moorish headdress. There was a case. You have this is a 1924 case, Michaud versus Burrell, Micheaux versus Burrell, Burrell, Michaud versus Burrell. The local temple, the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the Mystic Shrine, local temple shrine in Houston, Texas, filed for an injunction against the Prince Hall Shrine. It's the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of nobles of the Mystic Shrine. They filed an injunction, forbidding our brothers from wearing their Moorish headdress, regalia, using the Moorish names. They filed an injunction. Eventually went to the Supreme Court. The brothers. This is now that case is the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the nobles of Mr. Stein versus Mashal, 1929, the United States Supreme Court case. But the case was based, the decision or the application of law that was used was the 1871 Act of Congress, May 24th, 1871 Act of Congress, where it deals with the federal corporation. So the brothers won the case, and they lost. Abdullah, how can you win and lose? Well, I'll tell you. I can tell you how you can win and lose. They won the case in the Supreme Court, yes, but they lost the case in the world. How did they lose the case in the world, Abdullah? Because they what? Still wear the fez. This is 1929. From 1929, when they won the case, to today, 2024, they still wear the fez without knowing who they are. And what? They only wear the fez and use the names and wear the regalia. The condition, so on the court. So the court, the case set the condition and boundaries by which they wear the fez, the regalia, and use the names. So that means that their son can't wear it. I mean that they can't tell their, that concept that their son can't wear unless their son belongs to the order. Their nephew, their grandson, their neighbors, they can't wear it unless they belong to the order. That's their mindset. So the court set the conditions and boundaries by which they wear the fez and regalia and use the names. That's how they lost. That's what I mean. That's a loss. So they still wear it without knowing.
Okay, now this masonry, because we got a whole lot of folks in the United States that consider themselves Masons. Who is Hiram of this? What is Jubilo, Jubilee, Jubilum? What is all of this about?
All right. So let me explain. That's based off the seasons. So you have your spring, your summer, your winter, your fall. So but it says buried in a shallow grave. So what is the shallow grave? All right, so you have what's the spring equinox. The vernal equinox, the spring equinox, March 21st. Then you have your summer. The winter, the summer solstice, June 21st. Then now it gets to what? It's going to get colder, and after you have your fall equinox, your autumnal equinox, September 23rd. So that shallow grave getting so the days are shorter now. All right, the days are shorter. It's colder now. All right, so that's dealing with that. So now the sun is in that shallow grave of coldness, and so it deals with the passing of the seasons, not some actual real man. So then you were looking at the burial, the burial concept. We can also go there with the summer solstice. The summer solstice is where the sun is at its highest point of elevation. And Masonry is called, they celebrate on June 21st, June 24th. The Masonic circles throughout the world, the summer solstice is celebrated on June 24th. That is known as St. John's Day, St. John the Baptist Day. They have this elaborate ceremony of raising of lowering they have the cornerstone on a tripod, and it's in the northeast corner, because the summer solstice sun rises in the northeast. So that's the concept of the seasons. Of course, our brothers don't know this. They just go through the ceremony.
Well, let me hear from area code 513. Come on in here, brother, and give us your take on these masons and masonry.
Well, that's not my actually expertise, as Abdullah is the expert. But as I look at these things, right, and we talking about Masons, as we get into these Masonic lodges, we talking about these Masonic orders and stuff like this. When you understand the concept of people having secret societies, and these societies based in information, right? They take oaths and pledges. These are fun. All of these things still is rooted in fundamental rights, dealing with personal rights, dealing with private rights, right? This is outside of the government's domain, as it relates to a group of people who elect to live by a certain ideology, a certain principle of code in which they choose and that they took an oath or a covenant to follow. That's outside of the scope of government. Even when we're looking at these things, as we relate these subject matters, it's still rooted in international principles of law. These are fundamental aspects that we must understand, that in no nation can overreach its territory, just like Abdullah explained. Hey, King El Bey, if my daughter comes to Abdullah's house, I cannot enforce my rules and law. She must abide by Abdullah's law, right? Unless Abdullah sign a contract and agree that my law, and he adopted into his house as a form of practice. He said it might be a good idea for King El Bey to reach into this. So even within societies, you have nations and societies within societies that still they want to keep and preserve their own way of life, that they don't want to follow the social norms, that they still want to preserve their ancient principles within their own community. And they still have a right to do that. That's a fundamental right. As Moors, our personal rights is not lost, right? As Moors, our understanding our fundamental rights as being a Moor, even if you said I'm a Moor and I also am a Mason, based on this fundamental right, you still have a right to do this. But you got to understand how that works within public and private right domains within these particular jurisdictions, by understanding these principles of law to understand what you can do. You can't go out your scope in which you create to then encroach upon another one's right or trespass on another one's property, because rights is also property. We must understand these to the degree that we can get this stuff right. And if we are not rooting ourselves in these principles, you're gonna miss it. Principle of law is the key. You must go back and start studying principles. We gotta stop with the processes, because if you don't understand the principle, you ain't gonna understand what you're doing. You're not gonna understand how the laws operate. And when you're talking about a process, you're kind of talking about an operation of law that you may or may not understand, that you don't know how to articulate in a way that it catches the eye of the court, because you don't know how to identify.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this right here. Who was Hiram Abiff?
As I said before, he's asking who was Hiram Abiff. The son, S-U-N, Tarhaka. The son, S-U-N.
Okay, well, now, all right, now, you already
the
explained
passage
that to
of the
me.
season. Yeah, that's what I explained. That's
okay.
what, yes, it's all right.
Okay.
They are trained as a person, but it's astronomy. It's a story based in astronomy, based in the passage of the sun through the 4 seasons.
Okay, well, now, among the Masons in the Masonic order, they have this coffin, and they have this photograph with this little tree on it. Who is in the coffin?
All right. Let's look at that's symbolism. So that's the who. Let's talk about personification, so people can understand where I'm coming from. Tarhaka, we're going to personify you as the sun, S-U-N. As the S-U-N. That's when you personification is when you take the sun or the moon or the star or an object or a heavenly body, and you give it human characteristics. So the sun now is being personified as a human, or given human characteristics, or the moon, or Sirius, the dog star, or Venus. So that's one understand. Let's understand personification first. To understand who's in the coffin concept, we have first must understand personification. So the concept of Mithra, Dionysus, Zodiacus, Jesus, Apollo, all one and the same, y'all. All one and the same. It's the actual sun, S-U-N. So that is a personification of giving the sun a human characteristics. So the son died on the cross, was buried in a shallow grave. Adonis, Zodiacus, Zodiatrius, Jesus, Mithra, Apollo, same story. Died on the cross, buried for 3 days. That's the winter solstice. The winter solstice is when the sun is at its lowest point. There's 2 points when the sun is at its. There's 2 points where the sun is at its outer limits. The winter solstice, where the sun is at its extreme point, all right, its highest point of elevation, and you have the summer, the winter solstice, December 21st, where the sun is at its lowest point of declination. This is in the northern hemisphere. It hovers for 3 days. So now the sun, the apparent motion of the sun appears to move. So it's the apparent motion of the sun. So the sun stops its apparent suddenly direction, and then begins to ascend. That's Christmas, the birth of Mithra, the birth of Jesus, the birth of Zodiacus, the birth of Dionysus. It's the same story. The birth of Apollo. That's their birthday. It's the actual S-U-N, Jesus' birthday. Apollo, Mithra, Zodiacus. It's the same story.
Okay, so now you are. What you're telling me, in the history of the world, there's never been a man that ever walked the face of this earth from any race, creed, or culture, or color, by the name of Jesus Christ.
I'm saying, yes, it's a story that's because that's why I gave of the name Apollo. It's the same story. That's found me. That's why I gave Apollo, Jesus, Mithra, Bacchus, Zoasis. There's the same story.
Okay.
Let's talk about Apollo. Let's talk about Apollo.
All right.
It's the same story.
All right.
Let's talk about Mithra. It's the same story. So why don't you say Mithra then? Say Mithra. Say Mithra. Mithra. Because that same story applies. Say Apollo. The same story applies. Say Bacchus. The same story applies.
Okay.
Say
now,
Judah. Same story applies. It's the same. I want to be clear because we're just focusing on Jesus. We're focusing on one name. I'm saying it's the same story applies to the other names.
Okay.
The same exact story applies to the other names.
Okay. Well, we got it now, bro. Ain't no doubt about it. We got it. But what is the difference between the average brother or sister and a Mason? What's the difference?
All right, great question. Let me address our brothers and sisters. More is classified as Negro, colored, Black, Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican, and then we're going to all right. There you have our brothers who are Masons in the order. They don't know much anyway, so. But the difference would be they have camaraderie. They have camaraderie. They're aligned with a national organization. All right, so they're connected with a network. Whereas somebody who's not a part, they're not connected with a network that would send to California or Texas or Arizona or Florida or Philadelphia. They're aligned with a network. They have national conventions in different parts of the country every year. All right, so they're aligned with that. So there's camaraderie there, and so they get favoritism. You know what I mean, and certain jobs and so forth, because that's a lot of them do that because of that, because of the network. They're part of. The average Joe who's not a part of that, they're not privy to being part of a large network of 200,000 brothers. They're not privy to that. If you're part of a network of 200,000 brothers, so let's just talk that. We're just talking that being part of that network. Because you asked me what's the difference. I got it. That's a difference. That is a difference. A difference in the average Joe who's not part. I mean, that's a major difference. That's a major difference. A major difference. A major difference. All right?
Well, now, I have to add, and I have to go along with what you're saying, my brother, because I just
try to keep it. I just try to kiss it, man. I just try to kiss it. Try to kiss it.
I had a situation one time, because I wasn't paying attention. Well, this brother came along, and he said he wanted to get this job. Now, this is a very, very high-paying job, very strategic, goddamn, man, big money, all that right there. He said the dude that was going to hire him was a brother. He said, now, look, I'm going to give you this job, but what I need you to do is for your first 3 paychecks that you make, them 3 paychecks come to me, and then you got the job. You got to work for 3 weeks in a row, and then your paychecks will go directly to me. When he told me that, I said, what? I said, who told you that? They said they out there on the ship depot. I said, how I get out there? I said, can I walk up in there with a gun? They said, no, they got He got to cure you.
But Tarhaka, let's analyze that though. Let's analyze that, Tarhaka, though. Let's analyze it. I hear what you're saying, but let's analyze that though. So like, all right, I hear about the 3 paychecks, but but that's a great paying job that he would not otherwise be able to have. Like if the job where you're making 6 figures, if you're making $200,000 a year, you went from 50,000, you went from 50,000, and because of the brother and that connection, you now got a $200,000 job. You ain't willing to give him 3 paychecks?
Well, man, no, man.
All right, so
hold on a minute.
Go back to your $50,000 job then. Go to your $50,000 job. Go back to your $50,000 job.
Wait a minute.
No,
man.
go back to your $50,000 job. I'm just trying to. I hear what you're saying, but I'm just looking at it from a different perspective.
All right, Abdullah, hold on.
I mean, you got a $200,000 job versus a $50,000 job.
I told you in the beginning, I ain't know about how this kind of thing operates.
That's
First
a big
thing
difference.
I did is when he told me that, I said, who told you that? He didn't tell me right away. And then he mentioned the name of the man that was in charge over there that told him that. I remember him when we was in high school together. I said, he lived right around the corner. I said, I'm going to go around there, and I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm going to knock him out.
No, I know.
Okay.
You correct. I hear that.
Okay.
I hear that. But what I'm saying is that I'm looking at if it's a $200,000 job versus a $50,000, that's a big come up. I mean, you got the job because you know the person. You got the job because you have favoritism, where you wouldn't be able to get that type of job without knowing that person. So you move from $50,000 job to $200,000. It's a huge come up.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking
but
about
I
you're talking 3 weeks versus 10 years. 3 weeks versus 20 years. You keep the $200,000 job for remember, the $200,000 job, understand. That's the perks that go with that, the type of people you meet. So I'm just looking at from her, because I'm just looking, because this is part of, and I'm just analyzing what you're saying. That the $200,000 job, or you get that, like if you got a $200,000 job, brother, is that you also going to meet different types of people. It's going to put you in a network too. It's going to also let you favors and so forth. So you're looking at 3 weeks versus 20 years. I'm just analyzing it how you're presenting it to me. That's all.
Okay, all right. I understand what you're saying, man. But it was, I guess, for me not knowing, it was such a shock when I heard something like that, because all my life coming up and our family stuff and doing the stuff that we were doing, the stuff with, that was phenomenal. I mean, we were moving more stuff and finances and stuff than the Gambino crime family in New York City. So I didn't understand that when the brother told me that stuff, and then I found out who he was, and then I thought about it. Now you explaining this to me, but that still don't mean I like it. That don't mean it. But hold on a minute. We'll be right back. I'm gonna take another commercial break and a little short break, and then we're gonna be back. Okay? Yeah, hold on a minute.
All right.
All right, everybody. Don't forget, the greatest focal point in your life is when preparedness and opportunity meet. Hello, I'm Tarhaka Amana El Bey. I want to get a shout out to all the brothers and sisters across the country that got our secure party and credit information. It was now officially operating in the private. Keep in mind, you can access the direct treasury account, private banking, knowing the difference between public and private and being able to function correctly. Do that OID. Learn about your 1099s. You can do a whole lot of stuff once you have the knowledge to do so. Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Fill out the Contact Us form. Send it to me and I'll send you my free report. TarhakaDebtElimination.org.
Y'all got to excuse me, man. We got a thunderstorm down here in Florida, and this weather is playing havoc on us. I'm gonna open up the brothers lines again so we can get on back in. Okay, brother, we back. Is there anything else, Brother Abdullah, that you can lay on us about these Masons, man?
Well, one is it's our culture, and so you see, let me give you an example. I mentioned the case in the mindset of our brothers, that they wear the fez, but they wear the fez without knowing. And they wear the fez, the condition upon which the fez was set by the court. That's that case in Burrell, the ancient Egyptian Arabic order versus Mashal, 1929. So that's another the concept of, I mentioned you have the point within the circle. The point within the circle with the two parallel lines. And what that represents, the two parallel lines denote the summer solstice and winter solstice. So let me explain the point within the circle. This is the origin of the clock, which we taught at PK3, PK4. Origin of the clock. Right? You show them a film first. Show the children a film, and so you go out. You have a stick, and you have a string. So you mark at 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is going to reflect the shadow on the stick. The shadow going to be cast on the stick at 6 o'clock in the morning. At 7 o'clock, the shadow's going to move. Put a stick there. 8 o'clock, shadow's going to move. 9 o'clock, shadow's going to move. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's the concept of the point within the circle. Our brothers and sisters, our brothers don't know this. They point within the circle. Point within the circle. Yeah, point within the circle. They don't know the application of it. So they're no further along other than the network. Other than the network they have. Yes, they have the network. No, they have that, yes. But as far as knowledge base, they're no further along than someone who's not a part of that. Tarhaka, what's the difference between someone they saying point within the circle but have no knowledge of its origin, its application, and there's someone who doesn't know that's point within the circle? All they know, all they're identifying is a point within the circle. There's somebody who's not part of the order don't know it, but neither one knows the function. Neither one, the members don't know the function, and those who are not members don't know the function. So somebody who's part, they ain't no further along than someone who's not part other than the network. I'm just talking about knowledge-wise. I'm not talking about network now. I'm just talking about knowledge. They're no further along. From the point within the circle to the parallel line. That's your winter solstice and summer solstice. So your point where the sun elevates, the point of elevation, the highest point of elevation on December 1st and June 21st in the northern hemisphere, and December 21st, which is the sun is which is the death of Mithra, death of Jesus, death of Bacchus, death of Confucius. So I'm not going to just say Jesus. So you're going to understand that it's this story, that it's the same story told in different parts of the world.
Okay,
right, so
well,
I just want to, so there. Mm-hmm.
All right now. Okay, so you explained the difference between the Masons and the average Joe out there. Could you explain?
As far as knowledge base, there is. Other than they saying point within the circle and point within the circle with two parallel lines, or they going through a ritual ceremony and without having knowledge of what it is. So they're no further along because through a ritual without having the knowledge of it, there's no power in that.
Okay, well now we know that we got a circle. We agree that a circle is 360 degrees?
Yeah, but I'm coming from what I gave you. That once again, let's go outside tomorrow morning. All right, I'm giving you the application, giving you the astronomical application of timekeeping. All right, so we'll go outside tomorrow morning. We're going to what's called circumput. All right, you're going to draw a circle. I mean, circumput and points, circum, all right, around. So that circumput, point and circle, you have, once again, 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun is going to cast a shadow.
Okay.
7 o'clock, the shadow's going to be in a different place. Different place at 8 o'clock. And you're going to mark it. That's your clock.
Okay.
Right. So I want to stay there. I want to stay there with the concept, so that it doesn't get lost that we're talking about the clock. Now, our children see a clock on the wall. They see a clock on the wall in the school. The clock is on the wall in the front of the classroom. The children, pre-K3, pre-K4, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, none of them, either level grade. They don't know the origin of it. They don't know the origin of it. They see the clock every day. They don't know the origin of it. I'm giving them the origin of it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you something, because see, for me, I think people be looking at me like I'm a hardball, because to me, Sunday is the first work day of the week, and when the sun go down on Sunday, is now, according to me and how I operate, we're now officially in Monday. The first new moon in the middle of March is the beginning of New Year's, all the way back around until April. My calendar got 30 days on it, all the way from March all the way back down to April. So people be like, this brother right here, he seems to be kind of odd. Where he do things, he don't do nothing like none of us around here. And the way he be doing things, and how he be moving about, it seems to be totally different. Because my understanding is we got a circle of 360 degrees, and I do the math on that. 3 plus 6 plus 0 is 9, and if I cut it in half, that's 180 degrees. 1 plus 8 plus 0 is 9. If I draw a square, we have 90-degree angles in all 4 corners. They end up being 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Okay, now, I feel like personally, I have to observe people on the average individual behavior on a daily basis, and I can't discount them. I can't look down on them and nothing like that. To me, it's simply that they don't know. So now, in your opinion, my brother, what do you think is the most important thing for our people that we need to start getting right now, in your personal opinion, Abdullah?
All right. In 1563, Philip II issued a bull subjugating the Moors under Spanish rule, classified the Moors as Spanish. Why did he do that? Why did Philip II classify the Moors as Spanish? Why did Philip II classify the Moors as Filipinos? Filipinos, named after him. Why did Philip II name a people after him? Philip II, Filipino, to subjugate them, to remove protection so they would not, the personal rights are there, but when protection of the personal rights, the treaty protects the personal rights. To remove the protection. So why did the Spaniards classify the Moors as Negroes? The French classified the Moors as Noir, black, and can translate it modern English. Code Noir of 1685 applied in the Caribbean. Code Noir, N-O-I-R. Code Noir, the French applied the Code Noir in the Louisiana Territory, Code Noir of 1724. That's what's called, Code Noir. The British classified the Moors as Indians. Why? Why? What's this? Francois Benaire in his Nouvelle Division de la Terre, 1684. Black, white, red, brown, and yellow. Nouvelle, new division. New. So what's the old division, Abdullah? Kingdoms, bayonets, empires, clans, tribes. They had names. They're not black, white, red, brown, and yellow. So what does that do? You're stripping people of their inheritance. So you already know what my answer is. You know what my answer is.
Okay.
I went through this whole thing to give you what my answer is. Our people need to know who they are. Because without knowing who they are, they have no claim. They have no claim.
So, therefore, and thus, the most important thing, it seems to me, based on what you're saying, is we should claim our nationality.
Hey! Right on. Ding, ding. Got them. He got the fire today.
Okay. But now, you know, our people are still faced with some problems that they got to get past. First of all, they got this thing called religion. Second of all, they don't understand government structure. And third, they under some notion that America got some money. And it's phenomenal to me because I deal with people on a daily basis talking about this same kind of stuff. And I think it's 10 times harder to unlearn error than it is to learn new truth. And I'm faced with this on a daily basis. I'll be having a hard time, but every once in a while, the brothers and sisters, they be like, you know, I see the light. I said, oh, I sure hope. My goodness. All right, now.
All right, the land is the money. The land is the money. The land is, let me show you. The land is the money.
Okay.
Burkina Faso, the 1/3 of the electricity in France, 1/3 of electricity in France is run by uranium that they stole from Burkina Faso. 1/3 of electricity in all of France is powered by uranium from Burkina Faso. The money. 1/3 of an entire country's electricity powered by uranium come from Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Now who now got control of uranium? Burkina Faso. because of Ibrahim Traore, no longer has control of the uranium that they use to power 1/3 of France. So now what happens?
Okay. Well, now,
Because the finance was the money. But the uranium, that's the keynote. Huh? What's that?
How is that going to equate with our average brothers and sisters today? What do you think that they should be doing today? Having this information that
No. I gave. All right. That I use an example, a live example. I use an actual live example that's occurring now to explain that the land and natural resources is the finance. That's an actual live example. You got to point to something. I didn't make that up. That's not something that I made some example of. That's a recent example. You got to give them something that's an actual example to show them that the natural resources that France no longer has control of, third of the entire country. Why the finance empower the country? Why the finance? Why the finance empower it? If the finance is all that, why the finance empower the country then, the France?
Okay, well,
it's the natural resources.
Let's say I own 900 acres of land, and the land is just sitting there. How is the land going to become productive? It's just sitting there, and ain't nobody owning it, ain't nobody doing that. Is it just
they're going to do something with it
because
they're going to have the knowledge to do something with it.
Okay.
First, they got to know who they are. Because we got on, meaning that when I say know who they are, that means know that our land is under English, Spanish, Portuguese. Hear me out. When I say know who they are, I don't just mean knowing that they're Moors. That's not good enough. I don't just mean knowing that they're Moors. Knowing that they're Moors also includes knowing that they're under current subjugation. Knowing that they're Moors also includes having the knowledge that they're currently under Portugal, France, English, Dutch, and the Vatican conquest and subjugation, and that the United States is the trustee and the trustee of the administrator of these occupying European sovereign powers.
Okay.
That's also known as like when I explain Tarhaka, when you say all over the United States, how I explain that, that's also known that you're more too. That knowledge too.
All right. Well, let me ask you this right here now. Here, right now, today in the United States of America, we in the political circles, and we got these people running for office for the President of the United States. What is your take on this thing down up in here? We got Joe Biden just gone out. We got Trump, and now we got Kamala taking Biden's place and all that. What's your take on that, and how does that? What does that have to do with us as the Moors?
All right, so my question is, what is your take on the election in China? What's your take on the election in France? What's your take on election? I mean, what's the take your election in Australia? What's your take on the president's election in Australia?
I don't have no take on none of them.
I'm not saying, What's your take on election in Australia?
About one of them. Not doggone.
Well, I mean, I'm saying I'm just saying why the intrigue about the election in the United States jurisdiction?
Well, our people still after past 75 years, still believe that if we go in and vote for the President of the United States, by some hook or crook, some magic is going to happen to benefit them.
That you got to teach them that. You got to teach them about their nationality and history. That's what this platform is. That's what you're doing, right? Well, continue doing.
I be doing that every day. They be wearing me out.
That's fine. So we go. So don't. My feet ain't tired. My feet ain't tired. Who said that? My feet ain't tired. I don't hear no wearing out now. My feet ain't tired. Ain't no wearing out. You called me to be on this platform, and I appreciate you reaching out. But ain't no feet ain't tired statements here. My feet ain't tired. You can move on from that now. I ain't addressing that.
All right. Well, what I'm gonna do is
let me help you with some strategy. We ain't gonna go with the feet ain't tired statement now.
Okay. Well, all right. I need you to hold on a minute. We're going to take another little quick break, and we'll be back in a minute, okay? All right. Y'all hold on a minute. We got Brother Abdullah El Talib Mosai Bey and Shim Malakah Bey and King El Bey. It appears that the cause of dropped and stuff, we got this bad weather and all this other stuff going on. But what I'm going to do is take a little quick break, and when we come back, we go back on in. Y'all hold on a minute.
Well, we were talking about the Nicaragua filing a charge against Germany for complicity in genocide. And we were talking about how ironic it is that Germany is proving to be very consistent historically in their support for genocide and denial of genocide, and that they seem to have lost the plot and misunderstood that genocide isn't something that's exclusively committed against Jews, and when it's not committed against Jews, it's not happening. The Jews actually made it easy for them to know the difference because they came up with a special word for theirs, Holocaust. That they call the genocide when it's committed specifically against the Jewish people. It's called the Holocaust, and it's not called the Holocaust when it's against anybody else. Everybody else just gets the same. We all have to share the word genocide, but the Jews have a special word.
I was just interested. I'd be curious to know why they came up with the word Holocaust. I mean, who coined the term?
To be honest, I don't know, and I don't know. I don't know. But they will get mad if you use it for anybody else. Yes. They legit will get mad about it. I think there's even been lawsuits saying that you're not allowed to use that for anybody else. So they just use genocide. So the Germans don't. I guess they just think genocide is only bad if it's against the Jews and maybe if they're the ones who were doing it. But they supported it and they denied it. What? 90 years ago? And they are supporting it and denying now. Against another people. Germany's not the only one who's historically consistent about that, because the U.S. is consistent in their ambivalence about genocide. Because in World War II, they were ambivalent and undecided about whether or not what was happening against the Jews was happening against the Jews or not, and if it was serious enough, because that's not why they entered the war at all. It was inconsequential to them. Hollywood likes to revise history and change history to make it look like America went to war for the Jews, but they didn't.
It was the Russians who...
Well, the Russians are the ones who liberated the concentration camps, but that wasn't the issue for America. And so anyway, they were ambivalent about that. And now, right now, well, obviously we know that it's generous to say ambivalent about the genocide in Gaza, but by their public statements, where they're expressing concern, but we haven't really seen proof of genocide. That's kind of the same kind of thing that they would have been saying about the Jews in Nazi Germany. But then there's also, just came up a conflict now between America and Rwanda, because it's the...
When people show you who they are, believe them. That's Kamala.
Someone asked me, what do I think about Kamala Harris, and do I think that she should be voted for? Do I think the black community, do I think people, Christians even, should be voting for her? And I said, absolutely not. The question reply was, what, you don't want to support the black woman? Well, a couple things. Do I think she's black? Yeah, she's black. Whatever definition that you want to use, whatever metric you want to use for a person being black, she is black. Now, she identifies with whatever is convenient. One moment she will identify as being Indian. The next moment she would identify as being African American. Is she black? Yes. Is she African American? Whatever the definition of that is, no. But black, yes. But that's beside the point. Do you think that your mother, if you are black, your black mother, your black grandmother, your black great-grandmother would identify with her? Would you think that their values matched up with hers? I'm going to deal with a couple of things in just a second. One, with her past track record as a DA and so forth, Attorney General, but then also kind of where she stands even as a vice president. And so I think it's appropriate, at least right now, just to go back and revisit something from my favorite Pentecostal preacher, that is our good brother Bishop Wooden.
Don't you let them, because you see, these people have an agenda, and their agenda, one of the things is to get rid of the church. To get rid of the church, to have abortion on demand, to the promotion of all things LGBTQ. You know, Kamala Harris, she's running for the vice presidency. I call her Miss Lock Up a Brother, for when she was the AG in California, a Negro knew, a black man knew that he was dead in the water. He was dead in the water. Matter of fact, you don't need a trial. You might as well go into jail if you appear before her, because she took pride in locking up black folk. And now all of a sudden she's trying to be sister girl. I'm telling it. Check out her record. She locked us up left and right. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, you did, Kamala, however I should pronounce it, you did. And now we're supposed to forget all that stuff. And she boasted in California that she was one of the first. I got the tape queued, but my time's up today. One of the first, I showed you Thursday night, to perform a same-sex marriage. Y'all want to see it? Do you want to see it? Let it rip.
Let the rings exchanged and the vows declared symbolize your commitment, sincerity, and affection.
Yeah.
And may your love never falter.
May your love never falter.
By virtue of the power and authority vested in me by the state of California, I now declare you spouses for life.
Cut. Now that is who's supposed to deliver us. Now, are you crazy? I like what Maya Angelou said. She said, when the people show you who they are, believe them. That's Kamala. And let me tell you, anybody who's trying to turn America into Sodom and Gomorrah is not good for the nation, she's not good for the state, and she ain't good for black folk. We need husbands and wives. We need fathers. We need mothers. Men born male, women born female. We need real people.
So no, I'm not for her. I'm just like him. I'm not for her. Now, am I sitting there saying that I think that Donald Trump is the best candidate? He's the embodiment of what a good man should be, especially even a godly man? No, I don't think that at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think that we have a Christian there in Washington. I think that we're going to have one there. Now, I don't know, prayerfully either or both would repent and place their faith in Christ, and so that we can tell. But what we're doing is we're sending someone that is going to be a tool to make policies that would benefit us as Americans. And we'll talk about this later at some point in time about what America looks like. If you saw Washington, D.C. and other cities on yesterday, what was happening, it's something that you would have imagined that you would have seen in this country. But back to her, she is, as she says, as has been told, she is Miss Lock a Brother Up, as the bishop said. As a matter of fact, how her failed presidential campaign bid was derailed was because Tulsi Gabbard brought that up.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system. that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
What's interesting about that is that she even lied about that. You know, listen, I get it. You're trying to make yourself popular and seem like you are in good with the people. But when they asked her, well, did you smoke? She said, yeah, I smoked and I inhaled. And they asked her, well, what songs did you listen to when you were getting high? And she said she was listening to Snoop Dogg and to Tupac. The problem was she was about 5, 6, 7 years prior to them coming out. And so, listen, she's showing us who she is.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work.
When she talks about doing the work, remember, as a DA and as DA and Attorney General, she was the person that presided over California in terms of reducing the crimes, the sentences, and so forth, the charges for people who stole. So when you go to California and other places, and she says this became the national model, when you go to CVS or Walgreens or Walmart and you see certain things locked up, deodorant locked up, why? Because people would go in and steal these things and not get prosecuted. Where did that model come from? That model came from San Francisco. That model came from California. So as a DA and Attorney General, we have her to thank for that, for district attorneys, for prosecutors not prosecuting what we would call petty crimes. Well, these things lead to even more brazen crimes, such as carjackings and things like that. And so, yeah, we do have Kamala Harris to thank for that.
Of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not, and worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that, and the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Go and look up the name Carmont Connolly and Jamal Truba. These are people that were convicted of murder, one even on death row, and she stood even after she knew the evidence was tainted, even if she knows her office, she herself knew, and the judge said so, you knew that the investigators lied and planted evidence and so forth. You knew they lied, and she still, even after convictions overturned, she wanted to retry the case. This is who she is. As Bishop said, when they show you who they are, when they tell you who they are, believe them, just like this issue with her performing same-sex marriages. Now, again, am I saying that Donald Trump is the patron saint for all Christians? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that at all. But in terms of policies, which policies can we point to that's either in her camp or his camp? Which policies can we point to that would say, you know what, these are without question sinful. These are unbiblical. These are ungodly. There might be some policies that we might disagree with, but in terms of being unbiblical and ungodly, well, those policies lie squarely in her hand, in her party. And so I don't care if someone says, well, Corey, you're being too political. Call it what you want to. Am I a Republican? No, I'm not. Am I a Democrat? No, but I do have eyes. I can see. I understand what the Bible says. I am not going to be one of those who are going to say good is evil and evil is good. Woe to you if you do so. Woe to you if you think that if you're okay with giving a wink and a nod simply because she happens to either be a woman or she has darker skin. Woe on you, because that's the kind of person that you want. Listen, if Donald Trump was that way, he would have to go to, I don't want anyone in government leading us that way now. Do I think the world is going to be better off for either one? No, I know the direction the world is going, but I would like to at least stem the tide a little bit. I would like to at least not let the boat sink so rapidly. I would love to have my children and my grandchildren to grow up in a world where it's not so chaotic, not so crazy, where people can actually afford to eat. Now remember, we're talking about 4 years of one candidate versus 4 years of another. And so, no, I'm not for her. Again, this is not necessarily an endorsement of Donald Trump. It absolutely is not. As a matter of fact, he's had his past where he is claimed. And this whole issue, someone's going to bring up this issue with the Central Park Five. And remember, the people that actually brought this and stated that these Central Park Five, these guys were actually guilty, even though they made a movie, the person that did so, the lead attorney and other people, and the lead detective and others, were black. Not all, but were black. And the difference between Donald Trump and his full-page ad against them versus her is she was a prosecutor, and she had access to the evidence, and she knew better. Donald Trump, at best, was making a guess. But with her, she knew better. And to lock up 20-something thousand, 20,000 of them being black men in prison, am I okay with someone being harsh and tough on crime? Sure I am, but I'm also for them being fair. If you know someone is innocent, then fine. Or for some of these unjust sentences that you promote, because this is, again, when you're a prosecutor, how do you rise in the ranks? Well, by prosecutions, by the amount of time that people have been sentenced to prison, and by monies seized, dollars and things like that seized. And so that's how you build your name. And so, no, I'm not for her. There's nothing that she's ever done that has ever benefited anybody in the history of the world, including black folks. And certainly has she never done anything to benefit the people of God. Has she benefited the people of the world? Sure. For the alphabet community? Sure. Has she benefited the people who are committing crimes? Sure she has. Has she done things to benefit people that come to this country illegally? Sure she has. So when someone wants to tell me that we ought to vote for this person or put our allegiance behind this person simply because she's black, simply because she's a woman, she doesn't look like any woman that I know, any black woman, any Christian woman that I know. Not my mother, not my wife, not my mother, not my grandmother. No one of any sort of repute, of any good reputation, does she remind me of anyone like that. And so, no, I don't think that anybody black, anybody white, any woman, especially any Christian, should vote for this woman. Is that too political? Well, if so, sorry.
Okay, Brother Abdul, you still with me, brother? Brother Abdul?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right, now this is a question that I want to ask you. Now, down here in Florida now, you're upstate, but down here in Florida, they are going to try to pass a law that recreational marijuana is legal. But my question is, okay, let's say you get that done. It's passed, it's all legal, it's all good. What about all of the people that you got locked up in cages for the marijuana offenses? What are you going to do about them? What's your take on that?
All right, my take on, what about the Spanish, English, French, Dutch conquest and colonization of our land for the past 400 years? What about the continued mass denationalization of the millions of our people? All right, what about the continued control of our land and resources? What about the collapse of our Moroccan Empire? What about the loss of our Moorish sovereignty? You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, let's apply the proper application of law. Let's address the proper issue. Issue is the subjugation of our people, the mass denationalization, the Spanish, Portuguese, English, French, Dutch conquest and colonization of our land. Let's address that. Let's look to international law Let's look to international law that deals with loss of sovereignty. And the remedy for that is the recovery of loss of sovereignty, reversion to sovereignty. Let's use the proper application for what is the condition of our people? Is that we are a people who lost their sovereignty, a people who's under English, Spanish, French, Dutch conquest and colonization. That has to be addressed. Let's address that.
Okay.
No, so I'm saying is that, and that's what we have. We have been addressing that over the past 3 hours, 2.5 hours. But you brought up that you wanted me to address the, you wanted me to address the brothers, our brothers and sisters who were, prosecuted on the merit, and then they make it illegal. And I'm saying is that let's address the bigger fish.
I agree with you. And you just let me have it. You sure did. Now, do you think that once they knowing what you just told us about, do you think it's possible? Is it possible that they could just the ones who got the marijuana offenses, just let them out of jail? You think it's possible?
I say, all right. Once again, by organizing our people into government structure, I want to address the bigger fish, because that's still subjugation. That those people grew up not having a knowledge of their nationality. They would deny that. They would deny the fundamental right of their nationality and the knowledge of that. They would deny that. That's a human rights violation. That's mass denationalization. Let's address it like that.
Okay. Well, so if we address it like that, I have to come to the conclusion that you are telling me that the United States prison systems all around the country who have locked up people who did not know what you just told us. They can't let them go until they notice, acknowledge this, and nationally call for their release based on what you just told us.
All right. Let me say this, Tarhaka. We're locked up on our own land. All right. You're all right. You're looking at those behind physical bars as being locked up. You're referred to as being locked up, because that's what people call it. They call it locked up in jail. I'm saying our people are locked up on our own land. We're locked up on our own land. What I'm saying is not just, I don't want to limit to those beyond bars. We're locked up on our own land. That is called colonization and conquest due to English, Spanish, French, Dutch conquest and colonization, 16, 17, 1800s. Mass denationalization. We're locked up on our own land. Denied control of our resources. Burkina Faso, Mali and them, they were locked up on their own land, controlled by France. We're locked up, continue on our own land by the millions. We're locked up on our own land. I don't want to just limit it to those beyond bar. Let's broaden this. Let's put this in this proper perspective. We're still under conquest and colonization on our own land. Denied control, self-termination, absolute control of our land and resources.
I understand that. Well,
we're locked up on our land. Let's address that. I know where you're going, but I'm saying is that I don't want to, brother, that's how other people are viewing it. That's their view. I'm saying that people who don't have this knowledge, They don't know that
well,
we're locked up on our own land.
All right. Well, what should we do about it?
We spent the past 2.5 hours, Tarhaka. The past Shem broke it down. I did. King did for the past 2.5 hours. So the question has been answered for the past 2.5 hours.
Okay. All right. You're absolutely correct. You certainly did. And there's no doubt in my mind, based on what you're telling me and what we've already heard and what the brothers have already delivered, nationality is the order of the day, claiming nationality and stuff. But I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
If I have not acknowledged my nationality and I'm already locked up behind prison walls,
mm-hmm.
what should I do from there?
All right. One, nothing. We'll do it for them. Nothing. We, you, me, others, like ourselves, will organize into national government structure. We'll do it for them. We'll address the matter in world body. We'll address the matter of mass denationalization, conquest, genocide of centuries. We'll address it for them. Blacks not a nationality. Negro colored blacks not a nationality. We'll address the issue of mass denationalization, crime against humanity, apartheid, genocide in the world body. We'll address it for them.
Okay.
I
tell you what.
I gotta come like this because I gotta give us the right direction. I gotta give us the right direction.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I deal with that on a regular basis. Our brothers and sisters, they call me from the prison. And I tell them, I said, well, go ahead and have one of your loved ones or your closest to you to call me, and then I will deal with them on your behalf and explain to them the same thing that you have explained to me. But now we're down to the last 11 minutes. What is right now the most important thing that you can tell us going down into the last 11 minutes?
All right. To get more information and education about what was discussed, I'm live. To get more education, further information about what we've talked about for the past 3 hours. There's free classes we have on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. The Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. There's free classes on there. You can go to town there. Also, I do Moorish Monday on the Magna Pyramid Crystals YouTube page. We'll also, I'm sure Tarhaka will bring us back on his platform. All right, so we have the Moorish Investigative Research Committee. That's actually closed committee. We'll also launch the Moorish the campaign, the Human Rights for the Child, for our children, national campaign. So also my website, mooresandmasonry.org. You can have my books on there, mooresandmasonry.org. So I've directed y'all to avenues of information. My phone number is 215-300-5471. That's 215-300-5471. We also have a Telegram page, the Moroccan Post School of Government International Law Telegram page. And I wish I could make you a member. Before I send the link. So that I want to direct them to information.
Okay.
How they can gain more knowledge and how they can be involved.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that it'd be a good idea for the brothers and sisters to claim their nationality as Moors because we have all of the resources and the connections and everything else that may benefit them. Instead of running around acknowledging I'm African American, I'm black. I still, for the life of me, I can't figure out where that fit nowhere. But nevertheless, that's what they're doing. But anyway, do you have any one last final thing that you want to tell us before I close the show down?
I would encourage those who are not involved to get involved. Once again, I'm giving my number out, 215-300-5471. I've given you that free classes on the Moroccan Media YouTube page to get involved, to study. Go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. I have Moorish Monday. I'm on Moorish Monday with Abdullah El Talemosi Bey. That is on the Magnet Pyramid Crystal YouTube page. Magnet Pyramid Crystal. All right, so I would advise them to study and get involved. I want to thank you, Tarhaka, for having us. Greatly appreciate that, and we're looking forward to coming back.
All right, my brother. I'm certainly going to bring you back in because there's some other things that I want to get to, and I have to apologize for being late this evening because, man, look here, we got rocking and rolling going out here in Florida with weather and stuff. And,
yeah, the weather, yeah.
But anyway,
rain down here too.
Tell us, where you at up there, man? What state you in?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. What's the weather like there?
Well, it rained too. It stormed here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't got no floods and all of that kind of stuff going on.
I haven't been. I mean, it might be flooding down, but it did rain hard. But I wasn't here. I was inside though. Getting ready for the show.
What about tornadoes and stuff? Y'all get that?
No. No.
Okay. All right. Well, we get it all down here.
Well, yeah, of course.
I haven't so far during my lifetime. I haven't experienced an earthquake yet. Tornado, ooh. But anyway, got one of them down here. But I certainly appreciate you being on, my brother. And what I'm going to do is I'll contact you. I'm going to convert this show into a video and stuff. We'll put it up on YouTube. And if any more links that you have, because I got moresandmasonry.org, but if there's any more links that you have,
yeah, I could send the YouTube link. Yes.
Yeah, just send them to me, and so when I convert this thing over on YouTube, I can put it up, and your links will be live right there.
All right.
Right on. Click on it and go where they go. Okay. Well, I thank you, my brother, and I appreciate you, man. I'm going to close off you, mic yourself, and shut this thing down.
All right. Thank you, brother. Peace.
All right, my brother Abdullah. Y'all have a good evening. All right. There you have it. The principles and guidelines of government structure for the Moors. I hope we have answered all of your questions. We did the best we could. I'm sorry I was running late and stuff. Had no power. Everything got knocked out. Anyway, we managed to pull this thing off, and I certainly appreciate you all for listening to this broadcast this evening. Okay? All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to say good night, and y'all have a good evening.
you ever feel it? When people get unkind, you can hear their voices. They got poison on their mind. Though ignorance can never be excused, I'll do my best to shake off their attitude. I'm walking away again, but there's one thing that will make me take a stand. If my brother's in trouble, I will always help him out. If my brother's in trouble, I will turn the world around. I will fight for his right. I'll be there no matter where his troubles lie. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. Oh, 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 yeah. And all across the land, young men are walking blind. But if the heat comes down, I'll be standing by your side. I am there for him, like he is there for me. Nothing feels as good as a brother's loyalty. Talking about family, talking about what my brother means to me. If my brother's in trouble, I will always help him out. If my brother's in trouble, I will turn the world around. I will fight for his right. I'll be there no matter where his troubles lie. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be right there to help you. Just reach out your hand, I'll pull you through. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Talking about family, talking about what my brother means to me. If my brother's in trouble, I will always help him out. If my brother's in trouble, I will turn the world around. I will fight for his right. I'll be there no matter where his trouble lie. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. 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 I'll be there to help you. Yeah, I will be there. If my brother's in trouble, will be there. You know that I'll be right there for you. If my brother's in trouble, so am I. My brother, I'll be there for you. Just reach out your hand, I'll pull you through. If my brother, ever you're in trouble, I'll be here. If ever you need a listen here.
With deep pockets and huge resources, truck companies may think they can get away with a small settlement after an accident. But at Farah and Farah, our team isn't afraid to go toe-to-toe with them, to fight for every penny you're entitled to under the law. If you've been in a truck accident, call Farah and Farah. Put our big truck experience to work for you. Jacksonville.
I'm Victoria Cash, and I want to invite you to a place called Lucky Land, where you can play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. So what are you waiting for? The best way to discover your luck is to spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com, that's LuckyLandSlots.com, and get lucky today. At Lucky Land. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.